Anicet, I think one of the most iconic pictures in HBU history is the picture of you doing that finger roll at LSU. And as you recall, I know you remember this well. We lost that game on a fluke play at the end. We were leading going in, and I just remember that game so well, being in the Deaf Dome there in Baton Rouge. I know that has to be a big moment in your career. So, are there any other moments in your HBU career that stand out or stick out, that have always been seared in your memory?
That game against LSU, at LSU, was very, very significant. Why? Because up to this day, as we all know, as you know, Sharp Gym is still one of. We are in 2021. Sharp Gym is still one of the smallest facility at NCAA level. It sits about, what is it, 1,000, 1,500 people. Up to today, which is over 30 years from when we played at Houston Baptist. It's amazing to go and play at LSU. So that game was very, very significant to me. I always wanted. I love being an underdog, and I always love competing and going against the big dogs. Okay, which LSU was, and that game to me was, I wanted to win that game. We all wanted to win that game at LSU, and we could go on, of course, about in regards to this game and stuff. But there are two very special things. That shot, to me, also is one of my very fondest images to recall and to have. And then there is a block shot against one of the toughest schools we played, which was Arkansas Little Rock. So at Little Rock, one of our battle, because it's always a battle, almost close to a war, to play against them. That was the first time I was called the N word, and I was called the N word by one of the two twins who played inside Arkansas Little Rock. So to me, that was very significant. I was surprised. I looked at Larry Hollins, which was who was my roommate, and my very good dear teammate of mine, together with you and stuff. I told him, "Yeah, this guy just called me the N word." He said, "Yes," and he said, "Because you're walking all over, you know." So I was prepared because of what the USA is and means as a country in terms of the racial history of it. I was not prepared to be called the N word by a black person. So to me that was a key point in who I am and how I perceived the Americans. And then the second thing was a comment that Coach Iba made uh, when I went to college. Like I said, my objective was to get my degree. To become someone where I'm from, you need to get a good degree in whatever you're interested in. Okay. So my focus was basically the academics. Then the basketball started growing. And then Coach Abba, at one point in that 1983-84 season, we went to play a game. I don't recall exactly where, but he said, you have to be ready because they're going to come after you. Because in the papers, they're saying Superman is coming into town. It's like you're going to fly over the gym and stuff. So that's when I really became aware of my potential as a basketball player and what I was capable of doing. Because up to that time, I was just competing, but just playing basketball. You know, so those two events to me are very significant. From the basketball standpoint, and my makeup as a human being through basketball.
You mentioned Sharp Gym. Sharp Gym has not changed much since we played there in 1981 to 1985. It's still, I think, it's a great gym to play in. It is small. It is unique for the NCAA, but it's such an intimate place. And when we played there, the gym was packed all the time. And
Right.
one of my fondest or funniest memories is just to show you how intimate that gym was, we were playing Centenary, and they had Willie Jackson, who at the time, if you remember him, was the leading scorer in the country. And
Right.
I was guarding him, and I was, employing normal defensive techniques, which was I was pushing him and slapping him as much as I could. And I was off to the sidelines.
The basics.
Yeah, the basics. Off the sidelines, and I was sitting there, and he was trying to make a move on me, and I was, nudging him very gently, and slapping him underhanded. And Dr. Massey, who is the head of student affairs, was sitting, in the stands, basically 4 feet from us, and he's fouling. Boone's fouling him, and I remember thinking about it and looking up at him, going, whose side are you on?
Yeah, exactly.
My own, head of student affairs, Dr. Massey, is saying out loud in the gym that I'm fouling him, and the official can hear that. Would you please stop that? That's how intimate that gym was, and how small it was. And some of my other memories when we beat Oklahoma State in that gym, and some of the other great, Trans-American Athletic Conference tournament, games that we had in that gym, and just some of those great moments. It's hard for me when I think of basketball. I always come back to Sharp Gym and how much I really love that. I love that gym, and always will. Anicet, it's been such a pleasure to do this, and we'll get a chance to do this again with you, and talk more about this. But can you, coming forward now to 2021, and given your experience at HBU, why HBU? Why did you come to HBU, and why should players today come to HBU?
Yeah, my decision was taken through the guidance of, like I say, Coach Christopher Pond, who was an American coach who went to the Central African Republic, from South Carolina. And he asked me what I wanted to do after I graduated from high school. And I told him, from my answer, saying I want to continue studying. I wanted to study medicine. Then I ended up majoring in finance and management. He spoke to me on different occasions. One of them was at the U18 African Championship, where we played against Nigeria. And he also met a very talented young man from Nigeria called Akim Olajuwon. And he spoke to Akim. So at the tournament cafeteria setup, Akim approached me because we sort of have a liking for each other. And he said, your coach made me a proposal to go to the US, and he told me you were thinking about it too. I said, yes, I'm thinking about it. I'm not too sure. And Akim said, I'm going to go, So from his decision, and then he told me afterwards through Coach Christopher Bond that he was going to be going to the University of Houston. My dad had gone and gotten information because there was no internet in that era in that time. So he spoke to the people at the U.S. Embassy, and they told him that the University of Houston was a bigger school, and there were other schools like Rice, Houston Baptist, etc. So Coach Pond mentioned Houston Baptist, a smaller school, with about 4,000 people, students. And my family was very academically focused. So I chose Houston Baptist because my focus was academics. Sport was not really into my mind, but then it became a very big part of my life. So to me, Houston Baptist is like my home. Okay, the Matchbox, Sharp Gym, this is like home. This is our little religious place to go to practice every day and compete, etc. So Houston Baptist, because I had some wonderful teachers. To me, up to this day, there are like several teachers that I keep having always present. One of them, which is Dr. Vernon Sheldon. I use a lot of his words, one of our management teachers, and Dr. Shields with her character and her presence. So to me, my teachers, Coach Iba, you guys, my teammates, our trainers, David Binder, Bob Marley, especially, each of the assistant coaches. When we describe over here outside of the US what college basketball, college athletics are, it's like your little community, because every time you play against someone, you say which school you went to, and people are always surprised. Why are you always asking which school you guys went to and stuff. Because that's your little community, that's your little village, your little home, away from home. So to me, Houston Baptist is my home away from home, and I'm very grateful to all of my teachers. Dr. Tsao, for example, Dr. Phyllis, who was my French teacher, etc. Uh, you just the other coaches, with the other sports like Dr. Dvorak, Dr. Dvorak, for example, all those guys are to this day they're a big part of how I see life, how I conduct how I carry myself, and whom I became as an adult, as a human being. So to me, Houston Baptist is a very important place, and I really want for it to keep on thriving and striving to create just better citizens. Hopefully the mass box is going to remain the mass box, but it's going to be able to be a little bit bigger. To me, that would be. It is good to see the same facility today with all of our banners, and the same place where you would have Selim, on the side saying number 24, Boone Almanza. I love this thing. And Mingo, our mascot, our husky and stuff. Just a special place. To this day, I wanted my kids, if they wanted to attend Houston Baptist University.
Right. Well, I totally get that in that sentiment. You mentioned some of the professors. Dr. Sal, who was my economics professor, had a really profound impact on me with his teaching and the way you think about certain principles and concepts. It really was a lot more than economics. But those professors there, we got a great education set. Number one. And number two, it's a school with good principles. It's a school that builds leaders. It's a school that builds minds and helps people triumph in the future. You and I are both highly competitive people, and the school is competitive both academically and it's competitive athletically. Has the potential to be even better than it is now, to thrive and do well. And so I think any young man who is considering going to HBU needs to understand they're going to get a great education. They're going to get great opportunities to improve their lives, to change the direction of their life, and also have an opportunity to compete at a high level, particularly in basketball. You and I both want HBU to thrive and want HBU to do well and to reach higher and higher and to improve on a daily basis. And I think you and I are realize that place had an enormous impact on our lives and are thankful for that university and its founders.
Very much so, very much so, Boone. I can only agree with you and stuff. For any young woman, any young man to seek a place where you're going to be nurtured, you're going to be guided, you're going to be corrected, and you're going to be taught and provided with rich values. Houston Baptist to me is that place. I have a daughter, and my daughter is named after a very good friend of ours, from Houston Baptist, Danik. And my son also is, his name is shared with one of our dear friend and teammate, from SBU. And to me, nowadays the technology has improved so that it allowed all of us through either Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, to get back into contact with those people who are so significant. And to me, I'm just very thankful for the opportunity and the chance to have gone to Houston Baptist University. You know, there's some great school in Houston, of course, and in Texas. You know, but if I had to do it all over again, like I said earlier, you know, most people know from your standpoint from the U.S. going to college, you're gonna go to a big program. Like I said, you know, a Sharp gym is still one of the smallest gym, you know, 40 years afterwards, you know, in the U.S. and in the NCAA. But if I had to choose today, I would go back to Houston Baptist, you know, and I would like for Houston Baptist to become even bigger. Uh, Not bigger in terms of just size, but just a bigger presence because of what I know it is able to provide to each young woman and a young man and stuff, you know, in terms of preparing for life, to be competitive in life and to be a contributor, you know, to be a productive contributor in your community, wherever it is, because, you know, we have many friends, classmates, and teammates who are living all over the world and stuff, you know, and luckily we are able to stay in touch and reminisce, you know.
And I said, thank you so much for joining me on the inaugural HBU Thrive, this first video cast. And it's been a pleasure to see you coming from us all the way from Spain. You look great. You look strong. And you look healthy. God bless you and your family, and talk to you soon, Seth. Thank you so much.